À la mi-mai, sa Toute-Sainteté, le patriarche œcuménique Bartholomée était en visite à Middelburg, aux Pays-Bas, pour la remise des Four Freedoms Awards. Il y reçut le prix de la liberté religieuse. Ce fut le président américain Roosevelt qui, en 1941, prononça devant le Congrès un célèbre discours sur les quatre libertés, the Four Freedoms. Les quatre libertés essentielles pour l'humanité. La liberté d'expression, la liberté de culte, l'abri du besoin et l'abri de la peur. Sa Toute-Sainteté, le patriarche œcuménique Bartholomée reçoit donc ce prix pour sa contribution exceptionnelle sur le plan de la liberté religieuse et du dialogue œcuménique. Le prix est remis par la petite-fille du président Roosevelt, Madame Anna Eleanor Roosevelt.
The freedom of every person to worship God in his own way, everywhere in the world. The Franklin D. Roosevelt Freedom of Worship Medal is awarded to His All Holiness Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomee. As the spiritual leader of 300 million Orthodox Christians, and as Patriarch of the Church that stands at the crossroads of East and West, your passion for religious tolerance has led you to seek reconciliation with the Roman Catholic and Protestant faiths of Europe, to promote dialogue between the Jews and Palestinians of the Middle East, to extend the hand of friendship to China and other parts of the Far East, and to do the same in the Americas. At home in your native land, personal experience has taught you what freedom of worship means. In 1971, the Turkish government closed the Halki Theological School, rendering it impossible for members of your faith to receive Orthodox training in the country of their birth. These same authorities also refused to recognize the Patriarchate of Constantinople as anything more than a local religious community. You refused to accept these measures. You repeatedly called for the school to be reopened and steadfastly refused to give up your ecumenical title. Thanks to your efforts, the Turkish court recently ruled that the government must recognize the Ecumenical Patriarchate as a legal institution with international standing, although sadly the school remains closed. Throughout, however, you never turned to bitterness, but continued to preach the gospel of reconciliation between your fellow Muslim and Christian countrymen, setting an example for us all.
Three dimensions of our life and ministry have inspired us over the years to pursue with sacred passion the goal of religious freedom. The first dimension is the experience and expression of the Orthodox Christian faith and spirituality under difficult conditions on our native island of Imbros, where so many of our properties were unfairly confiscated over the last century, and later in the historical theological school of Halki in Turkey, which was forcibly closed 40 years ago. Over the last 2 decades, we have consistently, albeit humbly and respectfully, defended the fundamental rights of our Church to train its leaders and educate its clergy in order to maintain the spiritual legacy of the Church of Constantinople for over 17 centuries. The second dimension that shaped our ministry with regard to freedom of worship is the mission of the Ecumenical Patriarchate through the centuries. The Ecumenical Patriarchate has historically assumed a pioneering role in establishing and encouraging theological dialogues with other Christian confessions and religious deliberations with other faith communities. We consider it true to the Orthodox tradition, despite the fact that we often face severe criticism and slander, diligently and deliberately to avoid any form of propaganda or proselytism. What we seek at all times is honest encounter and humble engagement with every human being as our neighbor. After all, the identity of our Church as ecumenical implies an opening of windows to other churches and religions. Surely this is an essential feature of relating free worship to breathing. Finally, the third dimension that has guided our tenure is the appreciation of the beauty of God's creation. This is why we have perceived and proclaimed the intimate connection between the natural environment and the freedom of worship. For the heavens declare the glory of God. Οι ουρανοί διηγούνται δόξαν Θεού in Greek. Our interrelationship as human beings not only embraces all our fellow humans, but also extends to the entire created order. Humankind and the natural world comprise a seamless garment, as it is said, which we can perceive when we open the eyes of our heart to the beauty of the world as created by God, who saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good, altogether beautiful. There is a cosmic aspect to freedom of worship. In the 7th century, St. Maximus the Confessor spoke of cosmic liturgy. Your Majesty, dear friends, none of us has the right to withhold the fundamental birthright and innate prerogative of every human being to worship freely. To stifle religious freedom is to deny human life, for to worship freely is to breathe. May God bless you all. Thank you.
What are your feelings now with this prize?
I am moved, proud. It is also an encouragement to go on, to continue to work for peace, for mutual respect and understanding among religions, among different faiths, so that all together we can contribute to the establishment of a permanent peace around the globe. At the same time, we shall continue to work for the protection of the environment, because this too is one of the priorities of our Ecumenical Patriarchate.